Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Apologies in advance, guys, about my voice. I am still a little bit sick, so we'll see if we can get through this cast here today. I was actually supposed to be casting some games from the Total War Fantasy League, but due to the fact that I'm sick, I mean, I could barely get through one 10-minute replay without hacking up a lung and sneezing everywhere, so I doubt I could do, a 4-hour plus live stream of battles, but rest assured, next Sunday we'll be getting that going. I'll be bringing you lots of action from the Total War Fantasy Leagues. I'll have a link down below to J-Dog's channel on Twitch, where he's going to be streaming a lot of the games, if you guys want to go check that out. Today I brought the vampires. We're going to be fighting Bretonnia. I haven't been playing the vampires too much in this patch just because I think they're a little bit weak in certain matchups. That being said, there are still some matchups where the vampires are very, very strong, so let's go ahead and talk about some things. I've got the Red Duke here up on his zombie dragon, looking very, very cool. He's got the Hunger for that regeneration when he's in melee combat, Dragon Breath, of course, Invocation of the Heck, Dance Macabre, and Raise Dead. Dance Macabre in particular is one of my favorite spells for vampires. That 26 melee attack and 24% speed is very useful in a multitude of situations. Of course, Raise Dead is also incredibly useful getting those zombie summons. And we've also got Foe Seeker and El Sif. El Sif is, in particular, makes the Red Duke one of the scariest duelists in the game. It's minus 45 melee defense, which is probably one of the biggest melee defense debuffs in the game, if not the biggest melee defense debuff in the game. Minus 48% speed as well. Those two combined is devastating, and it means the Red Duke can catch and dispatch pretty much any lord in the game outside of, your elite tier anti-large armor piercing type lords. To help support against that, we've got a Terrorgeist here. He's, of course, got regeneration, anti-large armor piercing with some poison damage. Not the best melee attack, but again, that's why we would bring the Dance Macabre. For infantry, we've got a very wide infantry corps with 1, 2, 3, 4 skeleton spears. Of course, fighting Bretonnia, you're going to want that anti-large bonus. We've also got 3 skeleton warriors for some additional chaff. And in the back, the real damage dealers. We've got 2 crypt ghouls and a grave guard with great weapon. So crypt ghouls are going to be good against pretty much all Bretonnian infantry, even something like foot squires. I mean, they don't have the best AP values, but the 70 armor isn't the most from foot squires, so you're still going to be getting some pretty good value there. And against all the other peasant type units, crypt ghouls are going to shine quite a bit. 32 melee attack, 30 defense is pretty solid. They're a great mid-tier kind of damage dealer unit. I believe they are under the effect of the Vigor Mortis, though, for that melee attack and defense. Let's go ahead and take a look here. Yep, it does look like they've got the Vigor Mortis from the Corpse Cart. We've also got the Grave Guard with great weapons, of course. Their anti-infantry should help them dispatch most Bretonnian infantry without too much trouble. We've got 2 Corpse Cart, the Distraction Corpse Cart on the left, and the Unholy Lodestone on the right, and the Claw of Nagash in the center. So I figured it was worth the extra spend to upgrade to the Claw of Nagash here, just because that slowing aura can be very, very useful against, if you're trying to run away from things like Grail Knights and so on. So yeah, definitely some good stuff. We've also got 2 bats for some additional chaff, and that's it for my build. For my opponent, he's got a front line of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Battle Pilgrims, which we don't get to see these guys too much. They're pretty poor, in my opinion. They just don't perform cost-effectively in a lot of situations. They do have 40 melee attack while that Frenzy is active, 35 weapon strength, only 19 charge bonus, though. Despite having a shield, they only have 29 melee attack, and you consider these guys are more expensive than Empire State troops, and they have worse melee defense, comparable weapon strength, but just overall underwhelming for the price. I'm not really a fan of Battle Pilgrims. I guess my opponent was more looking for the Frenzy here and immunities to Psychology. These guys will do fairly well against most fodder tier vampire units, but against things like Crypt Ghouls and, Grave Guards, for example, they will just get completely outclassed. So we'll see how they do. We've also got a Grail Relic up front. 3 units of fire arrows, which I totally agree with. Of course, fire damage is going to be very pertinent against the vampires. In particular, a lot of their monsters have low armor and are also weak to fire damage, so I really like the pick of the 3 fire arrows here. The issue is going to be protecting them. To that point, he's got 2 men-at-arms with polearms, 2 Grail Guardians for that heavy frontline defensive, and we've also got 1 unit of Knights of the Realm for some nice mobile anti-large. The Lord here is going to be the Fey Enchantress. She's got Earthblood, Regrowth, typical loadout, exactly what I bring. Mr. Lady, Favor of the Fey. She's also got the Chalice of Potions and Arcane Conduit. So let's go ahead and kick the battle into full gear, and we'll watch as things unfold. So first things first, I'm going to get my bats up and around the side and trying to just start pressure here. Once we get the main line engagement underway, I'm going to want to either summon up some zombies or get the bats onto these archers to tie them down, because they will do a lot of damage to the Claw Nagash. Keep in mind, guys, that Mortis engines don't have that much armor at the end of the day. Only 40 armor on the Claw Nagash here, and it's weak to fire damage, so those peasant archers could potentially put in a lot of hurt against this very high value unit, so I'm going to have to be careful about that. Likewise with the corpse carts, I mean, you don't really want to shoot at the distraction corpse cart, but the unholy lodestone one, you know, is definitely going to be a good target as well. My opponent, though, trying to ward off some bats here. Honestly, it's not really worth wasting your shots, but I am going to fly over and get a nice zombie summon on top of this unit of archers here, tying them up. We're going to get the bats tying up this other unit of archers, so, you know, I'm going to lose these bats. I totally expect that at this point, but I mostly just didn't want them shooting at this Mortis engine while we're getting the mainline engagement underway. You can see my opponent's collapsing, as he should, trying to take these zombies offline as quickly as possible, but we've done our job in at least tying down those archers for a short period of time. Now we're going to get the mainline engagement underway. Spooky, scary skeletons charging into the Battle Pilgrims here. They're going to get their swords all high and mighty and get in here. You know, for, I'm not really sure. I guess they're kind of just mindless automatons, but Red Duke getting a nice Dragon Breath here, just going to be roasting this unit of Battle Pilgrims. Pretty much just destroyed the entire unit. They're going to be routing relatively shortly. We're also going to, excuse me, bring the Terrorgeist up and around. Not sure where he looks like he's coming up and around here. We're going to try and drop him on this Grail Relic to kind of take it off the battlefield, get rid of that immunity to psychology. We're also summoning up a unit of zombies right here to tie down all these archers, and again, just bait out all these cav here so that they're not able to get into this mainline engagement where my opponent needs them. You can see one unit of Battle Pilgrims already crumbling. We've got the Terrorgeist in here working away on the Grail Relic, and more of these Battle Pilgrims are going to start to get outclassed. We've got the Skeleton Warriors fighting in here. Honestly, Skeleton Warriors, you know, Battle Pilgrims will beat them, definitely, but once these Grave Guards and other units start to get involved, it's going to be a pretty bad day, and even then, I mean, Skeleton Warriors with the Vigor Mortis here have 23 attack and 27 defense, so I mean, they're going to be trading reasonably cost-effectively against the Battle Pilgrims, and especially with the loss of the Grail Reliquary or the Battle Pilgrims who are too far away. Once they lose that frenzy, they're not immune to psychology anymore, so they are going to start to be susceptible to terror routing. Again, we're just summoning up more zombies in this backline here. A nice Dragon Breath there. Didn't actually end up doing that much damage at the end of the day. Only got a couple kills. But again, we're just going to need to keep summoning up zombies in this pocket. And because my opponent's so blobbed up here, we're going to be able to interrupt a lot of these units without them getting too much work done. You can see finished off that unit of Battle Pilgrims. So we're going to be now bringing in a rear charge here. The Grail Relic has been easily dispatched by the Terrorgeist here, and this Mortis engine, though, taking a lot of damage from those fire arrows as my opponent's finally able to get a nice concave of fire and start focusing a little bit here. Finally broke through those zombies and is just pathing very aggressively over towards this flank where he sees that he's losing. But that being said, these Battle Pilgrims, sorry, the Grail Guardians, I mean, they're the perfect shell for the Fey Enchantress, right? You stick her in the middle of the Grail Guardians, and as long as she's getting attack animations, which unfortunately doesn't look like she is right now, but as soon as she starts to, it'll start to drain all the units in this pocket, and that's exactly what you want. And that's why I'm a little bit baffled by the pick of the Battle Pilgrims, and we'll kind of talk about in the end screen what I think is a better option there, but yeah, at this point, balance of power is starting to turn more and more in my favor. Despite that, though, my opponent's just about finished off this Claw of Nagash. It's at 400 hit points and crumbling. We're going to drop a nice invocation in his pocket to try and keep it online. But meanwhile, in the back line, again, just tying up these archers as much as possible. I really need to keep that Mortis engine online to drain away those knights if at all possible. So to that effect, we have got some zombies, we've got some crypt ghouls that have broken through the front line, and some skeletons as well. Going to be fighting these peasant archers here. They're not going to be able to hold their morale together, especially with the zombie dragon nearby. But the knights are coming, though. They're coming to try and spring some of these guys loose. But we're just getting this whole huge infantry blob because there's no infantry left for my opponent to support. We've also been able to isolate the Fey Enchantress away from all these Grail Guardians. So now we've dropped the LC on her. We've got, you know, the Terrorgeist and the Red Duke also going after her. So it's going to be a rough day for the Fey Enchantress. You can see, man, that Terrorgeist is pretty fast on the ground, all things considered. But here come the Knights of the Realm. They do have an anti-large bonus, so they should be able to do a little bit of damage here to the Terrorgeist. Unfortunately, Knights of the Realm, unlike Grail Knights, are not immune to psychology, so they are going to be susceptible to terror routing here. And the Fey Enchantress herself also still fighting in here. She really does not want to be in base contact. so to speak, with the Red Duke there. Nice Chalice of Potions coming down, doing quite a bit of damage, but at the end of the day, I mean, my Graveguard and my Crypt Ghouls are all still online, and that's really where the damage is coming from in this pocket. So, good stuff. The Mortis Engine did go down, but we've still got the 2 Corpse Carts, and at this point the balance of power is so far in my favor that I'm fairly confident we can just clean things up here. So we're going to extricate the Red Duke and try and bring in one last rear charge here on the Fanchantress. These Grail Guardians fighting like true champions, though, trying to take down this Terrorgeist here. Unfortunately, they're not the anti-large type Grail Knights, so they won't have as much of a bonus against the Terrorgeist. We'll still do some damage, but with the Fanchantress taking another charge here from the Red Duke, she's going to lose more HP, and at that point it's going to swing the balance power even more decisively in our favor, in the Vampire's favor. And yeah, we're just in the cleanup phase now, so we'll go ahead and fast forward a little bit as we kind of grind out the last of these Grail Guardians and so on. Fanchantress does come back from routing. We're going to get back up in the air and try and take her down. So we get a nice charge in here with the Red Duke. Don't quite finish her off, but we do shatter her leadership more or less, down to only 158 hit points. I didn't quite finish her off, unfortunately, but yeah, at that, the rest of the Bretonnian forces are going to rout. These Grail Guardians just can't hold up their leadership. And yeah, that's it. So victory for the Vampires. Well played to my opponent. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that battle. Apologize here. My game seems to have locked up a little bit. It's been happening to me recently for whatever reason. I'm not really sure why, but let's see if we can get it. There we go. Yeah, I'm not sure why, but that's been happening to me recently, kind of at the end of battles. It'll lock up for whatever reason, and I'm not really sure. But anyway, we're here on the end screen now, so let's go ahead and take a look. You know, obviously, the Grail Guardians, you would expect them to get a lot of kills against all this fodder, and they did. 135 and 227 kills. An XP Chevron and 2 here. The Peasant Arrows did very well for themselves. They took out that Mortis Engine. Unfortunately, they just weren't able to finish off like the Terrorgeist and some of the other regeneration units that they probably wanted to be shooting at. The reason is the Battle Pilgrims, they just crumbled so quickly because they have such poor melee defense. They really are not super conducive to this Death Star style of play. Fanchantress herself was able to get 38 kills, 72 on the Knights of the Realms, not too bad. For myself, 102 on the Red Duke, 27 and a couple XP Chevrons on the Terrorgeist from taking out some high-value units. And the rest, I mean, Graveguard and the Crypt Ghouls were able to get some nice work done. The Skeletons did a little bit, but again, most of the damage in the front line coming from these 3 units. Only 21 kills on the Claw of Nagash. It was kind of taken out by those Peasant Arrows, but still, you know, the regeneration is helpful for as long as you can have it alive. Let's go ahead and just talk about a couple things here with Bretonnian infantry, and you guys will see when I take Bretonnia against pretty much anyone, I will tend to go for the cheaper, more defensive type infantry. So what do I mean by that? Okay, so let's take a look at Battle Pilgrims and compare them to Spearmen at Arms with shields. So the Spearmen at Arms with shields have a better missile block chance. They have worse leadership, I'll give you that. However, they have considerably better melee defense at 38. And the key here is melee defense, right? I mean, the Battle Pilgrims will do a little bit of damage, but because of that low melee defense, they're going to get outclassed, and they're relatively expensive as well. I mean, the Spearmen at Arms with a shield is almost half the cost of this Battle Pilgrim. They're a little bit expensive. They don't have a great armor or defensive stats. Decent leadership, but that's pretty much what you're paying for at that point. And with the Grail Relic and other leadership support around, I really don't think you need the Battle Pilgrim's extra leadership. I think it's better off to go with the cheaper Spearmen at Arms with shields, especially if you're going with a Death Star with the Fanchantress. You're really banking on your Knights, you know, maybe a couple Grail Guardians, and I definitely would recommend a couple proper Grail Knights as well to deal with big nasty stuff. Something like this. Well, obviously we need a Grail Relic. Maybe we grab a couple pole arms, and then you know, we could pad out with whatever else here. Maybe we want to cut them and actually grab a couple units of the fire arrows just for kicks and giggles. Something like this. Again, this defensive type infantry is going to allow your Knights to get in cycle charge more. It's going to allow them to fight longer, which then allows the Fanchantress to sit on top of them longer and continuously apply that drain effect. So I definitely think that it's conducive to go with more defensive type infantry. You really aren't looking for the damage to come from your infantry. With Bretonnia, you're really looking for the damage to come from the knights and from your lord, whoever that may be. So, just some food for thought for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. I'm keeping it coming with more Total War Warhammer 2 content every single day, so stay tuned for more, and we'll see you next time.